Alexis Pavlantos. I was raised in Tijeras, New Mexico, and I make a lot of different types of jewelry. My work is kind of revolving around nature, meaning all the kin that live within it and all the floral motifs that you see around you, and even sometimes the textures from rock formations. I first got into jewelry making when I was 18. I loved using sculpty clay to sculpt little animal motifs, and then I would use resin to kind of form little landscapes on top of them. I also love taking things apart, so I would take apart old cameras. My mom had given me like my grandfather's old camera, and I took it apart and then put it into these resin forms to create these really ominous little orbs, and then I turned that into a bracelet, and that was kind of my starting point for loving to make objects that could also be on the body. I love the tactile feeling of being able to squish matter into my hands and then easily see what and how I'm forming it. Sculpture has always been a big part of my life. When I was little, I started off sculpting little motifs in clay, just using Fimo and sculpty clay and making little creatures, and now I make little creatures, but ones that you can wear. I think having a limited space in my studio led me to kind of start making my sculptures small. After I got into college, I was making really large forms, and then I had a lot of existential crisis around where will these forms exist. It really had a hard time connecting to where the intention was for making a sculpture. I didn't have a big space, so it was hard for me to visualize someone that would have a big space and where those forms would live after I created them. So I started making tiny forms, and those started interacting with the body, which became wearable jewelry. And a lot of times that just really helped all my existential crisis go away, and could meet the people that would then put my bugs on their fingers or have them be a part of their own jewelry box, which was really exciting. I love to start actually just playing with squishy soft wax. It feels very similar to clay to me, so I can just kind of start as a basic maquette, making the piece into a form that is similar to what I want to create, and then I can go straight into different types of waxes. I love that waxes are like little people. They all have different personalities. Some are really plastic and harder and rigid. Sometimes I have to use files to manipulate them or carve away, and some are very squishy and soft, and they're very easy to form. So I kind of like to see where I'm at in a day, and if I'm in a really okay soft mood, I'll just let myself start with a softer material. But if I'm okay to take a challenge, I might start using some power tools and using the machining wax to help carve it and get a really rigid form. So doing that and then having the ability to cast those forms into metal is really exciting. So I basically put all of my wax objects, I make a tree, and then I put plaster around this and then flip it upside down, and it's called the lost wax casting process. And then I can pour the molten metal into where my wax forms were to then get them into a hard matter that will then be able to last from light years. Actually, gold is the oldest form of material, so it will outlast me and anyone around me, which is really exciting. I love to sculpt. I call them my feeling forms. So I love to attach a meaning or feeling with a form. If I am relating to something or having a hard day, and then I have a shape that embodies that feeling, that's really exciting. So for me, a lot of times I'll be maybe sad and I'm walking along the road, and then there's concrete, and then in the desert, out of nowhere, there's this beautiful plant growing in between the little pieces of concrete, and it's super exciting to just find beauty in this strange small little space and relate to it. So a lot of times I just kind of embody those feelings and then kind of take what is inspiring and then turn them into something beautiful. thing I love most about creating is the space it gets me into. It's a very meditative space for me, and a lot of the loudness that is abundant in this world at this moment in time starts to feel smaller, and it really gives me a time and space to just really hone in. I just love that it like quiets my mind and allows me to just exist in a really beautiful, calm way. The most challenging thing for me during creating is adding kinetic components to my work. I love to make things move because I feel that just makes them come alive, which is very inspiring. However, it is very complex making mechanisms or things that actually function and also move without being too delicate to break later on. So kind of really forcing myself to make that duality of function and also like kinetic movement articulate into a piece of jewelry is definitely the most challenging part of my job. I want to make it last forever, but then I also want to make it feel whimsical, and sometimes you have to play with what gauge of metal to use to make those components kind of work together in a great way. So this is a little kinetic crab that I've made, and just making all his little limbs kind of move the way when I watch a crab walk really weird. It has all these cool movements, but then also making it so that these are nice and strong and sturdy, and then having little eyelashes that open up and then can be a little locket form, but then also function, and relock is always super important. So I'm just making all the little components come together. I've been living off of jewelry making full-time without anything else for 5 years. Before that, I always taught or had some other avenue of living in this little framework we all live within, be able to afford all the things that I need to afford in life. And the last 5 years it's just been doing, I kind of let go of teaching and just focused on making, and it's really challenging to like, you know, not have the pressure of what needs to be done dictate what I want to be doing as well, because a lot of what I think makes my work beautiful is having the freedom to create what I want to make instead of like having someone else dictate what I want to make. So sometimes that can be tricky. A lot of people will probably think that it's really easy to just live off of what you do and be able to make it work. It takes a lot of dedication and a lot of going to the wheel if something doesn't work. It's not about giving up. It's about retrying it and just starting. I think also another big thing is people have, and I definitely at the beginning really struggled with self-determination. No one is ever telling you what to do, so you have to be really good with boundaries for yourself of making sure you get everything done, and having that discipline for yourself is super challenging. The tricky part is making sure that you have designated schedule for yourself and make sure that you are getting goals done that you want to achieve. Otherwise, I think a lot of people get discouraged pretty quickly and it's very easy to give up. I hope people feel connected to nature when they feel or encounter their work. And that can even be on a material basis, whether the piece feels really good. A lot of times people will put on one of my weird sculptural pieces and be like, oh, I didn't expect it to feel that good, which is always really exciting. Because I'm trying to embody in my work this feeling that we're connected to nature and not separate from it. So if something feels like it just goes with your body, that's what I'm trying to embody. So whenever people compliment me that something that is really weird and unique and kind of bold also feels really comfortable, it's always a really big compliment. I love being connected to the creative community because I feel like a lot of times one of us might need help in a certain way that we might not know maybe how to use a tool or how to use a specific material, or might not know something, and I feel like knowing a big body of human beings that is so willing and eager to help one another is very exciting. And I think like that openness is really beautiful. And I think if all humans kind of use that philosophy of helping one another, that the greater good of humanity would just be even more essential and inspiring. So I think that embodying that in not just art practice, but also if you have a tomato and you can give to someone that needs it, that's and show them how to cook it or cultivate a connection and a community through that, that's a beautiful way to exist as a human.